Thanks, Tarun. Okay, I'm now going to throw this open. If you have questions to ask, whatever, just raise your hand. I'll identify you. Somebody will give you, I hope, a microphone, and then you can get up and identify yourself.
My name is Idris from Cyber.
Sorry, start again, please.
Yeah, my name is Idris from Cyber Media.
Yeah.
For anyone of the gentlemen can answer, as you talked about, the medium itself is becoming the media. Yahoo, Google. Now, is there a choice that they can be regulated? Should they be regulated because they are the new media? The one question. The second question, as you said, maybe we can answer this. As you said, by 2015, New York Times will be irrelevant. Will traditional journalists become irrelevant?
Who's going to take the first question? The one on regulation of new media?
Sure. I'm trying to answer your question in two parts. The first part is Google and Yahoo being the new media. Let's be real about this in India. I'm sure that Google and Yahoo are the medias of the future, and maybe to some extent the present in the US and parts of Europe where broadband connectivity is phenomenal. In India, the challenge still remains fairly basic, right? Your GPRS speeds are not more than 2 to 3 kilobytes per second if you're lucky. Your broadband connectivity speed is not happening and will take time. These are realities of life and we all have dealt with them. So let's not get carried away on India. I think the opportunity lies in the US and Europe. The availability of bandwidth is driving all creativity towards richer and richer media. And that's the huge opportunity that lies for entrepreneurs in India, because none of those will work here at least for the next 2 to 3 years. YouTube works, but we're all used to waiting for YouTube to download before we can watch it. And internet connectivity is patchy. So the opportunity lies for entrepreneurs in India to create light versions of product and services that people want. So I don't see any of this getting irrelevant in the near future. Having said that, I think the question on regulation is fairly clear that the laws that apply to media have to apply to media, new or old. The laws that apply to ISPs need to apply to new platforms of distribution as well. Laws that apply to new platforms of distribution need to apply to traditional platforms as well. It's the laws of natural justice. You can't have one set of services being completely unregulated. We had that situation in India when we had cable operations which were not regulated. We see the situation and we still try to deal with it. So clearly, if the opportunity lies, if we are aware of the emerging situation, regulation needs to be in place. Otherwise, you will have the same situation like what you had in India, where suddenly, porn is a great industry and actually drives most creativity in the West. Even in India, we all realize that our mobile phones had cameras after scams that happened in India. Till then, we didn't realize that mobile phones could be used to make video clips. So really, but that's not allowed in India. So now, what do you do? So if most people are going to see YouTube or going on the internet and spending time on the net, what are they doing on the net? And how do you regulate that? So some amount of regulation is important. Having said that, I'm not saying that you can't bring in huge censor laws that completely shut down everything and don't allow anything new to happen. But yeah, regulation has to be on par, clearly.
So
that's my view.
Yeah, fine. I think most people would accept that. I think there's a sort of subtext to his question, which is regulation possible? Can you really control what goes on the internet? Something that cuts across borders? If you're defamed, say in my newspaper, you can probably sue me. If you're defamed on the internet, can you track the guy down? So I think that's the subtext to his question. Is regulation possible?
Well, that's where the whole challenge comes up when you have, if you have mass media companies on the internet, you will sue them. So if the newspaper does it on the site or on print, I can sue them. But if some random person puts up a blog that defames me, chances are that none of us can do anything.
So regulation will be a problem?
Regulation will always be a problem, yeah.
Okay. The second half of your question, which is the scenario that Tarun showed, the film that showed, a very exciting film. Yeah, I thought it was a great film, but there was a tension between the two halves of Tarun's presentation. The first was the film, the second was what he actually said. What the film said was that Google rivaled the New York Times, threatened the New York Times, ultimately vanquished the New York Times. No editors were used. It just computers did everything. It sort of made the generation of content seem like a democratic activity whereby you sitting here, me sitting here, we could all generate content. There was no need for editing, there was no need for journalism, there was no need for any kind of filtering of content. And then you had Tarun's speech, which ended with content is king. So there is, I think, that is the basic crisis that many of us working within the media face. Yes, you can see new media as a way of democratizing distribution, as a way of democratizing access to mass media. But there is nothing, and Kevin mentioned this, there is nothing that suggests that people do not want proper content, content that's well researched, content that's edited, content that's credible, content that you can trust. As long as the New York Times can produce content like that, the manner in which it will distribute that content, whether it's through the net, whether it's through print, may change. But I do not actually see a scenario short of a science fiction movie where computers take over the world and human beings do not generate that content.